You need to take on a leadership role to broadcast your value. And there's an interesting example that Stephen Covey gives in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there was these engineers that were told to build a road through the jungle. And they hired the people, they hired the bulldozers, they hired the map makers, they hired everybody, and they're in this jungle and they're making this road. And one person just has a sense that there's something wrong. He climbs up a tall tree and he looks around and he says, "Oh my gosh, we're building a great road, but it's in the wrong jungle." And another interesting quote is, "Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things." So what do these mean? Why am I even bringing this up in this tutorial? It means that you have to understand certain things. Ask these questions. Where are your company's points of pain? You need to address those things. Those are your priorities. How are those points of pain impacting sales? Points of pain because there's a lot of errors emanating from one of your departments. It could be pricing, could be shipping issues, it could be any number of things that are causing customer service issues and customers going to other competitors because your company's just too difficult to deal with and it really impacts sales. What internal areas feed into or are linked with your department that you should be aware of the impact you're having on these other areas? What do I mean by that? First of all, obviously, to collect, you need accurate and timely invoicing. So the department that's initiating that needs to be accurate and timely, and you need to feed back to them when you see areas where that's a problem. And on the other hand, on the output side, what do you do? Your credit approvals, the timeliness of your credit approvals impacts that whole cash-to-cash cycle. If inventory is waiting to be shipped to meet a sales forecast and you're holding it up because you're slow in making credit approvals, that impacts sales, that impacts operations, that impacts your cash flow. If you're putting accounts on credit hold and not informing sales, blindsiding them, not informing the customer that you're doing that. There's a lag in terms of when people react to that credit hold that's impacting your cash flow, your sales, your customer service. So understand what's impacting your department coming in to your operation and the impact that you're having on other departments by your actions as well. Understand what these departments need from or stakeholders need from your department. Let's get back to some of the reporting and the transparency. What is it that they need? And this will guide actions so that you can really improve your performance and the way that you interact with these other stakeholders like sales. What obstacles will be in your way, and that helps you develop an action plan for overcoming whatever those obstacles are. So take on a leadership role, ask these questions, come up with what do I need to do to make improvements, and pick the most important areas first and just work on down the list. Fix root cause issues. I like to use this example. If you cut off the head of the snake, you can eliminate a lot of issues. But if you don't, you're always busy cleaning up after it. So listen and take action. Go on customer visits, go on sales drive-alongs, participate in sales team meetings, both as a presenter and a listener. Meet with other departments, maybe have your staff do this, walk in their shoes, understand their needs, understand how you're impacting them. Listen to your staff if you're a manager. They have a bead on what's going on a day-to-day basis, and that can help you. So you do these things, and it will really enable you to create some value and broadcast that value to other stakeholders, including sales. Develop your skills, education, such as these tutorials and other training opportunities. Keep up with the latest tools and best practices. Broaden your understanding beyond just credit and collections. Treasury and banking, finance, securitization, so that you can come up with ways of getting to yes, understand global business, and other aspects of your role. Develop your staff if you're a manager. Include your staff in sales team meetings. Give your staff a role in customer visits if that's practical. If they're reconciling accounts, bring the individual who's doing that on a day-to-day basis. It's developmental for them. It also sets up a great relationship with your customer. Rotate assignments, delegate projects to them, and it's most importantly, develop a backfill for your own career development. It helps, and it really is developmental for your staff. Be perceived as a resource, an ally, a process improvement leader. Again, identify root cause issues, lead cross-functional improvement efforts, have alternatives so that you're ready when you have a credit challenge to have a way of getting to yes whenever it's possible. And, bring lower cost and overhead expense to your company. Be an advisor. Nothing is better than having sales come to you and ask for help in getting to a deal that they're working. And an advisor to customers by taking the information that you have about how like companies are performing and giving a customer that information so that they can see where maybe some improvements are needed on their part. Final challenge: what if my department didn't exist? If I was to recreate my department to maximize support for sales, how would it be staffed and organized? Are we now working on non-core functions that should be redirected somewhere? What would the critical functions be if I was to start my department from scratch? And how best, in a brand new department, could we support the company and the sales efforts? Think about that. And it might identify areas that you can fix. So just take that view and take action. So what we've covered today, we've covered some metrics that you can demonstrate your department's value and contribution to sales. We've talked about the role that your department has in the cash conversion cycle and quote to cash cycle, and how by being proactive and effective, you can enable sales growth and really broadcast your value to the sales effort. And we've talked about how you can take on a leadership role in actually driving sales and efficiencies to make sales and revenue happen.